What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a White Forest toy box profile. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you this exact build, and then I'll show you a side deck, and I'll also show you a very cool combo for the deck as well, so you have everything you need to know to get started with this deck right at the offset. What I really like about the White Forest is the fact that they can produce so many different variants. We've already seen Joshua Schmidt's Runic version. You also know that there's a Dark Magician version. There's also a version that involves the Eldritch as well. It is really kind of cool just how it can be utilized in different ways, and I just love the synchro aspect of the deck as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So, diving headfirst into the list, we start off with 3 LZ. Now, ironically, with the LZs and the Estelas that you're going to be playing 3 of each, at Euros on day 1, the Friday, the Estelas was actually the more expensive card of the LZ. So the LZs were like 23 euros each, the Estelas were like 30 euros each. Day 2, which was the Saturday, which was when Joshua Schmidt was featured on the stream and everyone bought out these cards, the LZs rocketed up to 32 euros a piece and the Estelas went up to 35 euros a piece. It's just absolutely crazy how prices can fluctuate. So Estella is one of the main starters of the entire deck. It allows you to send a spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon a light spellcaster tune-up from the deck. If a spell or trap is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect while it is in the graveyard, you get to special summon it back, but you can only use each effect once per turn. The LZ is your free extender, and what we mean by that is you get to send a spell or trap from the hand or field to the graveyard to special summon this card from the hand, and then add a White Forest monster from the deck to the hand, so it allows you to get into your starters of your Estella or your Sylvie. On top of that as well is during your opponent's turn, if a light spellcaster tune is special to your field, while this card is in the graveyard, you get to add it back to the hand, so you've got resource reloop should you need it. And then for our first of the tuners, we do play 3 Sylvie. So this one is another one of your starters because on normal or special, you get to add a White Forest spell or trap from the deck to the hand. And then if it is in the graveyard, you get a quick effect to target a White Forest synchro you control, or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck and special summon it, but its effects are negated. Now obviously this one is going to be searching you out your tails and your woes, as well as also you've got the other tuner in the form of the Yugioh. So the Yugioh is, if you control a White Forest monster, you get special it from the hand. You get to send a spell or trap from the hand or field to the graveyard to draw a card. And the exact same as Sylvie is, if it's in the graveyard, you return a White Forest synchro from the field or grave back into the extra deck and then summon it, but its effects are negated. And then the spells and traps that your Sylvie is going to be searching is of course going to be your Tails of the White Forest and the Woes of the White Forest. So Tails is if you control an illusion or a spellcaster, you get to add a White Forest monster from the deck to the hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you get to set it back on the field. But you can only use each effect once per turn. Now it's a bit of a shame that it requires you to specifically control an illusion or a spellcaster to then add a White Forest monster. I would have much rather they've just been add a White Forest monster, which I feel is archetypal specific enough that it can't be used and abused. But it does kind of make it a little bit trickier, which is why Sylvie is a very good starter in order to get to the Tails, and then you get to an LZ, but you do need another spell or trap to send in order to kind of push your plays further forward. And then Woes is the ability to special summon a White Forest monster from your hand or deck, and then immediately after the effect resolves, synchro summon a White Forest synchro monster. Again, if it is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you get to set it back on the board. I love the kind of like shadow theater that these are all shown. I think the artwork on these are really kind of cool. It's simplistic, but it's very, very, like, it tells a story, which I think is really awesome. And then the honorary White Forest monster is the Iris Sword Soul. Now, how is this an honorary White Forest monster? I hear you cry. Well, this one is during the main phase if a monster whose effects are negated is on the field, you get a quick effect to special it from the hand. So the best thing about that is you're going to have monsters on your own field with the Yugioh and of course with the Sylvie that its effects are going to be negated, so you get to summon it down for free. You also get to search it. And how you're going to search it is with the Yugioh from the extra deck, as this allows you to add a White Forest card or a light spellcaster from the deck to the hand. It also then starts to help you utilize level 12 synchro plays. It can help you use level 10 synchro plays if you get a very specific tuner on the board that you'll see through the extra deck, but it mainly helps you also utilize rank 8 plays. Or you just leave it on the board so that when your opponent special summons a monster, you get to trigger different effects depending on where it's been summoned from. So if they special from the hand, you get to special 1 from your hand. If they special from the deck, you get to draw 2 cards. And if they special from the extra deck, you get to non-target destroy one of those monsters. So very nice form of interruption. Then we are playing the Toy Box engine. This is pretty standard for the Toy Box in my opinion, of playing 3 Soldier, 1 Tank, and of course 3 Toy Box. So the idea behind all of this is Toy Box, when you activate it, you then get to choose to activate one of the following effects, which will allow you to put Toy Soldier and Tank from the hand, grave, or deck into the spell and trap zone as face down spells, which means they can be sent off of the back of your White Forest monsters. If your soldier is sent, it special summons itself back to the board. If you control Toy Box, it allows you to add a level 4 light monster from the deck to the hand, so straight away you can get your extenders or a starter, should you need to. If you don't already have Toy Box, it just searches you out Toy Box anyway. Tank allows you to tribute it off to special summon a level 6 or lower monster from the hand, or if you control Toy Box, you get to special summon it back from the graveyard instead, so it gives you loads of recurability should you need to. There is also an additional effect of the back of Toy Box, which a lot of people forget, is you get to destroy up to 2 cards in your spell and trap zone. So again, if you've got Toy Box with your 2 Toy Soldier and Tank, but you have no way to get them to the board, you can just use Toy Box to destroy both of those, and you've got access to get to a rank 4 if you need to. And then for the hand traps, we are playing triple Ash Blossom, and this is going to have double usage because we do play the Gen X level 10 in the extra deck. So this one gives you the ability that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you get to banish a monster from the graveyard with the same attribute to negate the activation and destroy that monster. So the best thing about that is not a hard once per turn, it's only once per attribute. So if you have a fire, a light, and a dark in the graveyard, you will be able to use this effect to negate a fire, a light, and a dark, which is really, really important. We're also main decking Draw and Lockbird, but this can be subbed out to any particular hand trap that is specific to your environment. If you feel that Dogwood would be better for you, Molchummy will be better for you, Veiler, Ogre, entirely up to you, even Ghost Spell. Sub it out, put them in, it really is up to you. Heck, even Nibiru. Then we are playing the Bestial Engine of 1 Magnemute and 2 Druid Swarm. We are playing Disbatter in the extra deck. I just think it's really kind of cool that you can utilize either a double hand rip by looping back Cypher and Lord Omega, or of course you can still also utilize a negate off of the back of it. You can banish one of your White Forest monsters, bring them back to the board if you need a level 4 tuner or if you need a level 2 non-tuner, and it kind of gives you a lot of versatility. And the last hand trap we are playing is the triple Infinite Impermanence, as this is the only one that will not trigger a triple Tactic Talents. And then we've got 3 Forbidden Droplet, followed up by 1 Call by the Grave. And then last 3 cards I'm going to show you can very easily become triple Tactic Talents if you wanted to, but I have a lot of cards in the extra deck, or cards in the extra deck that can utilize all 3 of these cards, and it just gives you a bit more protection and versatility. So we've got the Vanadium Reframing. This can obviously be searched off of your Visas Aritara from the extra deck. We've got the 1 Angel Statue, which can be set off of your Hat Tricker. So this can very easily go into the side deck if you don't want to main it. And then the last one I've got is the 1 D-Barrier, because you can actually very easily access a Beatrice in this deck. So with Beatrice, I like the idea of being able to send a D-Barrier if I know I'm going, like if my opponent wins a dice roll and makes me go first, more times than not, they're probably going to be on Tenpai. So I can go Beatrice, send the D-Barrier, and then I can use my Diabell to reset the D-Barrier. And then during my opponent's draw phase, I can either shotgun the D-Barrier, or of course I can just make it like, if they're going to try and break my board, at least if I D-Barrier them, they're not going to be able to extend their plays further, and the best thing they're going to do is end on the Spheres, and I'm still going to have graveyard resource, I'm still going to have hand resource, and everything else in between. So it's kind of like a calculated risk. You can very easily take this out. Like I said, if you want to side these out, these can very easily become triple Tactic Talents. You do have a lot of versatility that you can kind of play around with should you wish. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to move on to the extra deck. So with the extra deck, the non-synchro monsters we are playing, of course, is the 1 Beatrice. There are 3 more cards in the side deck as well that can be helped utilize with Beatrice. And it just kind of gives you that versatility that if you need to kind of deal with a more generic matchup, like if you're not dealing with Tenpais and you want to be able to deal with like either a turn skip, Ghost Meet Girls, but it happens. Or if you are worried about Tenpai and you don't really have the ability to get to Diabell to reset, you can send Rise to Full Heights, and then that makes sure that when you synchro off a monster, they just can't attack you. We've then got the 1 Hope Harbinger, so just when you want to add to your board, if you go, you know what, I'd rather have an attack redirect and a spell negate alongside with my counter trap set up, then you're probably going to go for this. You could go for a Sulkin to add a Crystal Wing if you wanted to. You've got flex space in the extra deck. You can even go into a level 12 synchro like Final Sigma, or of course that's where Crimson Dragon comes into play as well. And the last one that is not a synchro monster is of course the Silo Hat Rabbit. Moving on to the synchros. So for our level 2 synchro, we are playing the Zapper Shrimp. Now you never actually hard make this, you just always spawn it off of the back of your Diabell Queen. But the idea is that this is then going to unlock a couple of capabilities for you to get into different synchro monsters. It can allow you to quick synchro during your opponent's turn, as well as discarding a card to target a spell trap your opponent controls and destroy it, which can be massively, massively helpful. Moving on to the level 6s, so for the level 6s we've got Silveria, the Wolf Tamer of the White Forest, we've got the Rusilia, Sinister Soul of the White Forest, and then we do have the 1 Immortal Dragon. The Immortal Dragon is how you're going to get access to your Dark Tuner in order to get to the arms of the Gen X, which is really kind of important. So massive shout out to, and I just want to make sure I get this completely correct, Magma Trooper on YouTube. He was the one that kind of showcase the Immortal Dragon involvement, and I was like, yo, that's really spicy and really kind of cool. I'm going to utilize that in my deck. And obviously, credit where credit is due. I will show you the combo at the end of the video, but I'll also loop you into his channel so you can kind of see exactly what's going on there. So the Reselia, as we've already mentioned, allows you to add a White Forest or a Light Spellcaster by sending a spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard. But then you also get the ability that Illusions and Spellcaster Synchros you control gain 500 attack, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, so a base of 25. This one is, if it is special summoned in any means possible, you get to change all face-up monsters on your opponent controls to face-down defense position, and an Illusion and Spellcaster Synchros you control gain 500 attack, and if they attack a defense position monster, you inflict piercing battle damage. Moving on to the level 8s, so obviously the final White Forest monster is the Diabell Queen. So if this card is synchroed using a Tuner Synchro, this one gives you the ability to target a spell or trap in your graveyard and add it to the hand. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you get to send a spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon a level 7 or lower Tuner Synchro monster from your extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. So that's how you're going to get into your Zapper Shrimp. And then of course you've got an instant Synchro 10 there, which can help you get into the Goatee Deep Sea, which I'll talk about in a second. The other level 8 that we play is the one Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. It just gives you another way to be able to disrupt your opponent quite easily. The Omega, which can just help you recycle some of your banished cards while also being able to hand rip your opponent for 2 when you combo it off with your Bestial Dispatter. And of course we've got the Visas Aritara. This is going to allow you to get hold of your counter trap in the form of the Reframing. Now keep in mind that while you control a Synchro monster, you get to negate the activation. But if you control a Visas Starfrost, which this card will be by name, you get to negate the activation and destroy it. So that kind of gives you a little bit more, but then you don't always want to leave this on the board. Sometimes negating it isn't more than enough rather than just having to destroy it outright. And then for our Synchro level 10s, of course, we've got the Bestial Dispatter, we've got the generic Chaos Angel, we've also got access to the Gen X, which I've mentioned before, and then we do play the one Goatee. Now, you've got a lot of flexibility. Technically, you don't have to play the Goatee. You can take that out. You don't have to play the Chaos Angel. You could take that out, and you don't have to play the Dispatter. You could take that out as well. So that's when you start opening up the options to your deck. If you want to play more rank 4s, if you want to play a couple of different rank 8s, if you want to play more Link monsters, it really does give you flexibility. What I liked about the Goatee, the Deep Beyond, is the original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters, so both yours and your opponent's. If it is Synchro Summoned during your opponent's turn, you get to banish all cards on the field. So it gives you a complete board wipe. Yes, it clears your side as well, but if you're not putting loads of resource on there, and you actually hold a lot of resource back, and you've already got your White Forest in the graveyard ready to go, doing a board wipe can be more damaging to your opponent. And the fact that it banishes them all as well can cause them even more issues than normal. And then during the next standby phase, after this card was banished from your monster zone, you get to special summon back this banished card. So again, you'll bring it back, and it can become like a mini boss monster with everything you need to. And then you're able to kind of just continue to rebuild your board and then push for the OTK. So that's it for the entire extra deck and main deck. Now just to show you my demo side deck as it currently stands. So at the moment we've got 2 Nibiru in the side deck, followed up by 3 Cosmic Cyclone and the 1 Duster for that back row hate. And then off of the back of the Beatrice, we're playing the 1 Rise to Full Heights, the 1 Ghost Meet Gel, a Masterful Mayakashi Shiranui Saga, bit of a mouthful, and the 1 Transaction Rollback to trigger said Ghost Meets Gel. So for those of you unfamiliar with this and the way this works is during your turn, Beatrice will send Rollback or the Mayakashi, and then during your opponent's turn, they would send the other one. And then what you do is you activate Rollback in the graveyard, which will copy the effect of the Ghost Meets Gel, which basically says neither player can special monsters from the hand deck or extra deck for the rest of the turn. So it literally just shuts your opponent down completely. For the board breaking option, if we do have to go second, we've got Evenly Matched. And then, of course, you do have the ability with the White Forest to loop Skill Drain. Now, this is degenerate, and I'm highly expecting Skill Drain might get a little bit of a love tap on the ban list. But the idea is, with the White Forest, because they send their spells and traps as cost, you can activate Skill Drain during your opponent's turn, shut them down, and then when it comes back to your turn, you activate one of your White Forest monsters, send the Skill Drain as cost, unlock your entire board, do all the combos you need to, make the Diabell. Diabell lets you add back the Skill Drain. You set the Skill Drain during your opponent's draw phase, activate the Skill Drain. Now they are back under Skill Drain, and they need to deal with a bit of a strong Synchro boss monster board. So that is pretty much it for everything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the very kind of cool 2-card combo thanks to Magna Trooper, which will show you how you can make the Gen X as well as being able to protect your board. And in my opinion, it does give you a very well-rounded end board that can kind of help you protect from everything you need to. So we'll be back in a second. Just so you have everything in a tidy video, you've got the 2-card combo, and of course, massive shout out to Magna Trooper. Like I said, I'm going to put a link to their channel in the description below, as this combo is completely them. It was so spicy, very powerful, that I integrated it into my own build, and I was like, I want to share this with as many people as possible. So you're going to start off by activating the toy box. This will allow you to put Soldier and Tank into the spell and trap zones face down. You'll then be able to normal summon the Estella. Estella's effect will send the toy tank from the field to the graveyard in order to resolve the effect of Estella to summon out Sylvie from the deck. You'll then go chaining 1 Sylvie, chaining 2 tank. Tank will summon itself back, and then of course Sylvie will search you out Tales of the White Forest. You'll activate Tales of the White Forest, and this will search you out your LZ. And then before you summon any more times, what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to synchro your Sylvie with your Estella, get you into your Mortal Dragon, and then for your 5th summon, you're going to synchro both of these together and get you into your Gen X. So as this currently stands, you have a light and a dark monster effect negation off of the back of your Gen X, and then if you add other attributes to the graveyard as you continue this combo, you'll be able to negate even more. You'll now be able to summon down your LZ. This will be sending your toy soldier from the field to the graveyard, resolve the LZ to search you out your Rusia, and then at this point here, you want to be able to summon back the toy soldier, triggering toy soldier's effect. Now, if you already have another spell or trap in the hand, you get to search out any level 4 light monster that you want. So you can search out any particular tech card that you are playing, or of course you can search out a Sylvie as a follow-up for the next turn. In this scenario, just to show you exactly what we've got with the base 2-card combo, you're going to search out a second toy box. You'll then summon down the Rusia. Now, the reason we search out toy box is to show you the random draw off the Rusia. If you don't want the random draw, then you don't even need to search out toy box. Like I said, you search out anything you want. So we're going to send the toy box from the hand or the field, doesn't make any difference, and this will then allow you to draw 1 random card. You'll then synchro your Rusia with your LZ to get you into your Roselia. Roselia's effect will now trigger sending off the last toy box on the field to the graveyard to search you out your Iris Sword Soul. Now, because a monster activated this effect by sending a spell or trap, you get to revive the Estella back to the board, which is pretty much everything you need because you've got a tuner there. Then you also have the ability to now synchro these two together. This will get you into your Diabell Queen. And because this was summoned using a tuner synchro, you get to add back a spell from the graveyard. So you can actually add back Tails, as considering we actually haven't used Tails effect to loop itself back, you can actually send this for free if you want to. Or of course you can search out the toy box, because the toy box is a soft once per turn to place the monsters into the spell and trap zone, so you can recur your resource that way as well, which is really, really important. Now what you want to do, now you've got the synchro in the graveyard, is you can use Sylvie's effect or the Rusia's effect, doesn't make any difference, to put the Roselia back into the extra deck to summon it back to the board. Now you've got a monster that has its effects negated on the board, you can summon down the Iris Sword Soul, and then you're going to have the ability to synchro these two together, and this will then let you get into your Visas Aritara. Aritara's effect will trigger to get you your Mannadium Reframing done, so that's going to give you that counter trap that you might need later on in the plays. Then you've got a couple of different options at this point here, it really is up to you, is you can either leave the Iris Sword Soul on the board, leave the Visas Aritara on the board so you've got that negate and destroy, or what you do here if you feel that you're going to get more use out of the back of this, is you go into the Hope Harbinger, which means you can redirect attacks to this and you can negate a spell. You've still got that random draw in your hand, you've still got a toy box that you added off the back of your Diabell, or of course like I said, you could very easily add back your Tails so that you have another follow-up on the next turn. You still have 3 more random cards that you would have started your turn with as well. So your hand is pretty much back to its 5 cards, and you've got all of this. If you did add back the toy box, I'll just show you how you can add a little bit more to your board. If you added back the toy box, you would activate this, and then like I said, it's a soft once per turn, so it will let you place the tank, and it will let you place the soldier back into your spell and trap zones. Now, obviously, you'd only do this if you haven't opened up like 3 imperms. If you've drawn into imperms or anything like that, it'd be a little bit crazy to clog up your zones, but it really is up to you. But as this currently stands, from those 2 cards, you've got a counter trap, very important. You've got a light and dark negate at this exact moment in time. If you've opened up an Ash Blossom, you could add a fire negate to that as well. And then, of course, you've got the Diabell ability to send any spell or trap. So obviously the benefit of having Toy Box or the soldiers or anything else is that they can send one of these. It can then summon and search out a follow-up for the next turn. And then, of course, you still have the ability to bring back a tuner from the graveyard in the form of the Sylvie or in the form of the Rusia as well. Plus, you'll have the Shrimp coming back. So you've got the ability to also go into a Synchro level 10, which can be your Goatee, board wipe. It can be a Chaos Angel. It can also be any other level 10 that you might want to choose to play that isn't specifically Dragon Locked or anything else. So that's pretty much it for the entire combo and the entire profile. I hope this has given you everything you need to know about the deck for the basic level. I do really like the way that this works. I like the idea that I don't need to be going crazy for the Centurions. I'm happy to wait for them to be reprinted, but knowing Konami, if they're going to reprint something like that, they're probably going to make it either incredibly hard to get hold of, or they're just going to be incredibly expensive. So I'm hoping that they won't be so hard to get hold of and I'll be able to pick them up should they get reprinted, just so that I can try out a different version of the deck and keep the creativity going with the way this deck works. I really do like it. I like I said before at the start of the video, the versatility, the options that the deck has as well. And I do like that it can kind of go in different angles to kind of keep it a little bit fresh and keep the creativity moving. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.